Alright, I'm Justin, and this is my family proposal presentation. And right there, that's my mom. Okay, for the first slide, what are the problems we're having? In general, my family is not good at being sustainable. We consistently throw away recyclables, and we take 20-minute showers. Basically, my family has no concern for the environment whatsoever. Because of this presentation, that will change. Mom and Dad, I'm sorry for being so blunt, but I'm just being honest. The gist of our problem is that we're not being good at being sustainable and environmentally friendly as we should be. Why are these problems we're having? Why these are problems goes much deeper than just we don't recycle. The root of our problem goes all the way back to when World War II just ended. The Allies had just won and the soldiers returned home. Being away from their families for this long made these young men very antsy, and as a result, America experienced the baby boom. The population skyrocketed and consumer patterns changed. The once practice of using a product until its dying day and then repairing it the next day was replaced by the buy something and when the next model comes out, buy that. This planned obsolescence forever changed America, in turn, my family forever. Continuing off of that, essentially after that, my mom and dad were born under the principles that if something were to break, you can just replace it. Not only that, but us living in a relatively wealthy and first world country are careless in all aspects of our lives. We waste large portions of food, we eat too much food, we buy non-efficient but aesthetically pleasing cars, we take for granted resources that most countries struggle to get such as water and electronics and various metals. All these principles passed on to me and my sister from our parents is what almost seems to be a never-ending cycle. Though in recent years people have begun to open their eyes, people stress the phrase reduce, reuse, recycle. One of the consequences of polluting our waters, exchange ideas on climate change, and overall are trying to save the earth from mayhem we've already brought upon it. But it is up to me and the people of my generation to step up and join the cause to become more sustainable and environmentally friendly citizens. Here's the evidence from our electricity audit. Per capita energy use in BTUs for the United States in 2015 was 303 million BTUs. Per capita energy in BTUs for Louisiana in 2015 was 912 million BTUs. Per capita energy use in BTUs for the world in 2011 was 75 million BTUs. Per capita energy in BTUs for Indiana in 2015 was 430 million BTUs. Per capita energy in BTUs for my family in 2017 was 683 million BTUs. Explanation for the electricity audit. As seen in my family of four, our per capita energy use was 683 million BTUs. The reason that our numbers we had in class were so much smaller in comparison was because they were in MMBTU, which are million BTUs per person. The energy my family uses is 608 million BTUs above the average in the world. We are 380 million BTUs above the average in the United States and 253 million BTUs above the average in Indiana. On every scale, my family uses considerably more electricity than the average. Then to top it all off, Louisiana, the state that has the highest million BTUs per person, is only 229 million BTUs above my family. Just in case that doesn't prove that this is a problem, my family uses 9 times as much BTUs than the average of the world. Okay, moving on, we have the evidence from the transportation audit. The per capita gasoline usage per year in the United States is 423 gallons. Per capita gasoline usage per year in Canada is 349 gallons. Per capita gasoline usage per year in Indiana is 514 gallons. Per capita gasoline usage per year for my family is 438 gallons. Right. And moving on, we have the explanation for the transportation audit. From the past statistics, one can see that from the transportation audit, our family is average when it comes to the amount of gasoline used up. Our family has 2 cars while the average American has 2.28. Those 2 cars are in my family and are also efficient with a good miles per gallon, with one being 28 and the other 18. So they get a lot out from just 1 gallon, compared to other cars with bad miles per gallon that would use up more gasoline. The average from the 2 days that we recorded the distance of our cars drove was 18 miles, which is less than the average American who drives 30 miles a day. Plus, my family still uses 15 gallons extra than the average American in the United States. At the end of the day, while my family is very good on how much they travel, we definitely still have some room for improvement. And moving on is evidence from the water audit. Average amount of water used in gasoline and gallons per capita for the United States is 41,818. Average amount of water used in gallons per capita in Africa is 1,825. Average amount of water used in gallons per capita in Indiana is 38,813. Average amount of water used in gallons per capita in Northern Europe is 23,267. Average amount of water used in gallons per capita for my family in a year is 30,240. For the explanation for the water audit, on the average, the normal American uses 41,818 gallons of water per year, which is more than my family who uses 30,240 gallons per year, which is 11,578 gallons less. That's almost 10,000 less gallons. Although that doesn't get us off the hook, as we use around 7,000 more gallons compared to the average European. The appliance that uses the most amount of water was actually our toilets, and it's actually the same for everyone else in the United States, as a typical toilet in the US uses 1.2 to 1.4 gallons per flush. Alright, then the evidence from our waste audit. Our family does not compost any of our waste. Our family generates 7,236 pounds of solid waste every year. Our family recycles 2,308 pounds of recyclable materials every year. Type of municipal waste that was most abundant was paper. Average American throws away 4.4 pounds of solid waste per day. People in my family each throw away 7.9 pounds of solid waste per day. Alright, and moving forward, we have the explanation. The reasons that the audit in particular is a problem and it needs to be fixed is because our family doubles the amount of solid waste thrown out compared to the average American every day. We don't use compost, which would actually give us rich fertilizer and which would take away from the trash going into sanitary landfills. Lots of times in our family, we find ourselves throwing away materials such as paper and various metals that we could recycle, but we don't. We're overall reckless and careless when it comes to throwing away any materials. Alright, moving on to the proposal for the electricity audit. Our proposal for the electricity audit is that we were going to cut down on the amount of time we use our appliances. To elaborate, we simply turn off lights and TVs when we leave the house for long periods of time. We wash our clothes every 3 days instead of 2 days. We use better and more efficient light bulbs compared to the incandescent bulbs we have. That alone for the light bulbs, after consulting with my family, we would save almost $300 on electric bills every month. Okay, then Then for the proposal for our transportation audit. My proposal is to limit the amount of trips we take in a car. Because my family typically never flies, we don't have to worry about that. If we were to switch to eco-friendly and fuel-efficient cars like a Prius or Honda Civic, we would have better miles per gallon, save money per gallon, and after talking with my family over how many times they typically go to get gas in a week, then multiplying that by 52, we would save around $560 per year on gas. Then moving on for the proposal for a water audit. One area that our family could realistically reduce the amount of water is by limiting the amount of times spent in showers and taking baths. If we were to decrease the amount of time we spent doing these by 5 minutes, our gallon usage of water would go down by 3,137 gallons in a year. That number subtracted from 3,240 gallons we typically use in a year would go down by a little over 10%. Not to mention, as I said earlier, we could limit the amount of times we wash our clothes to 3 days instead of 2 days. After doing that math on how many gallons of water we'd save from decreasing the amount of times we use our washer, we'd save 1,304 gallons per year. Okay. Then our proposal for the waste audit is Uh, it has actually a lot of parts. First off, we're going to start composting, so we'll be able to get rich fertilizer to put in our gardens, where we can plant all kinds of vegetables like tomatoes and chives. Second, we're going to be a lot more strict when it comes to recycling. By that I mean we'll make the effort to recycle all bottles, all papers, and everything else that our family usually throws away in a normal garbage that can be recycled, obviously. Last, we will take time to separate any hazardous materials like batteries and some cleaning supplies, and then take trips to areas where we can give hazardous materials to designated hazardous material sites so it can be treated and recycled if possible. Okay, for our last slide, should it's how these solutions will help solve our problems and benefit our family and the earth. From all these solutions, it will bring many benefits. It will cut back the amount of waste going into sanitary landfills. Will we use less water, which is less water wasted and less water extracted from aquifers and from groundwater, making them last longer, also letting other people who need water more a chance to get water. We will use less energy in total by switching to more efficient appliances, which will save money and restrict the amount of time uh, and restrict the amount of electricity going into and out of our house. Last but not least, we will switch to more fuel-efficient and eco-friendly cars, which will save us money on gas money, but will also help the environment as now the new cars will not produce as much CO2 or any CO2 at all going into the atmosphere, going into climate change. These are the realistic and possible solutions I've come up with that will help our family out, the earth, in generations to come. And that concludes our presentation, and I hope you enjoyed.